Rahu Mahadasha, which is actually the most feared Mahadasha after the Saturn. Now Rahu Mahadasha lasts for 18 years. And during these 18 years, the two lines that need to be kept in mind are, keep in mind, life is all the result of choices. The choices we make determines our fate. So this is the time to practice alertness, awareness, introspection, and many other such adjectives that help you know yourself. Now understand the planet of Rahu. The planet of Rahu talks about the grit, the determination, and the resilience within a person. Rahu is a planet which gives you disillusionment, it gives you falsehood, it gives you maya, it gives you greed, it makes you materialistic, it makes you, want all those things be actually what we term as evil thoughts. For me, no thoughts are evil. I feel according to an individual's need, the person starts becoming greedy for that. I may be greedy for having good relationships or multiple relationships, or I may be greedy to experience more wealth, and more is never enough. So we become materialistic, we become greedy, and we want more and more and more. I've already explained about the Rahu Mahadasha. Now I'm going to be patiently explaining to you the Antardashas. I've explained the major period, now I'll be explaining the sub-periods, that when the dragon's head or Rahu Mahadasha takes place. Right, we have these sub-periods in these 18 years for a particular time. Now, coming to the next, after Jupiter comes the Saturn sub-period in the Rahu Mahadasha. So now today we are talking about the Mahadasha, that is the major period is Rahu, and after Jupiter comes the Saturn, so we have a Saturn sub-period. Now these two are again the most feared and the most dreaded planets according to the people, not according to me please. For me, when these two planets, these strong planets have come together, it basically means lot of earnings, lot of healings, and lot of goodness in life. But before we get into the healings or before we get into the learnings of life, we have to be walking that path which is actually taking us towards success. So what my notes here say is that the planet Saturn or Shani is perceived to be one of the most malefic planets, though it is believed to carry problems for making the native learn and emerge high. So first the native overcomes the problems, it throws problems on its way. You are actually learning and then you are emerging high, besides which it also brings divine blessings at time. Now isn't that good news? It's something like when we put a child to study, why is it important that we study for 1 year in a particular class, then the exams are held, and then the teachers decide whether the child is being promoted, demoted, or held back. So the same way is the journey of our life. The obstacles come our way, and the way we react to these obstacles actually determine whether we are going to emerge high or whether we emerge, rise, and we receive the blessings of God, or we are asked to learn all over again. And the arrival of the Antardasha of the planet Saturn as a sub-period to Mahadasha, or one of the most malefic planet Rahu, makes this combination very fierce and adverse for the native, as both of them brings negative effects and would carry many problems for the native. The bottom line is, all these problems are in your mind. Rahu is a shadow planet, Saturn is the main planet. The combination of both of them is like very ballistic, it is very fierce, it is very adverse, but more it is in your mind than in otherwise physical. Because we tend to magnify the situations and make it larger than the life. I've repeatedly told everybody, and I repeatedly remind myself also, that life is never going to be easy. If life were easy, I wouldn't be a seeker. Because life is not easy, I am a seeker, and I am a seeker of solutions without magnifying my problems. So the combination of Saturn and Rahu is that yes, there are problems, but my intelligence and my confidence makes me a seeker. I overcome these problems, and when I seek my parent, which is my God, or whom I believe in, or I trust the divinity around me, I receive all the blessings. It's like a pat on a child's back when he actually emerges a winner in his class. And for us, the class is our life. So these planets create hurdles. Now what do these planets do? They create hurdles in your professional path of the native, as resulting towards the loss of position and downfall. It is something the authorities will suddenly tell you. The authorities may criticize you. The authorities may pull your socks up, or the authorities may not like what you have done. You don't have to get angry. You just have to introspect, and you have to actually take a recheck that, okay, whatever the work that you have produced, is it really not up to the mark? If it is up to the mark according to you, then you should have the boldness to discuss it with your boss, or discuss it with your superiors, or discuss your relationship with the person you are involved with, that you are thinking everything is right, but why is that other person thinking otherwise? This is your confidence in yourself. Now remember, before Saturn, Jupiter was there, so Jupiter bestowed intelligence. Because of your intelligence, you expanded. Because of that expansion, chances are you may have felt arrogant, and this arrogance is laced only because the Rahu Mahadasha is going on. So you will think you are correct, but the Saturn is asking you to take a reality check. If you think you are correct, you should be able to argue the situation out. If you think you are not correct, then you should be able to rectify the situation and probably accept the fact that you can be wrong. So Saturn basically asks a person that believe in yourself, do introspection, and then answer the Rahu in that correct manner. So the people of this Rahu Saturn Dasha would confront conflicts and quarrels. And besides which, they'd be surrounded by many evil souls. There are some people who keep putting the spoke in the wheel. There are some people who keep instigating you. There are some people who would probably tell you that no, this is not being, you are completely being victimized, so go and take a fight. And what happens to you? You tend to get carried away by thinking that they're the well-wishers. Get back to the Rahu Mahadasha now. That Rahu Mahadasha says, do not trust people. Do not think what they are saying is correct. And during the Rahu Saturn period, what happens is that people try to instigate you. People try to create problems within your psyche so that you may go and take actions. So it's very important for you to remember throughout the 18 years that should I believe these people? Should I get carried away by what they are saying? Or should I be confident if I have not done my work properly, I should correct it. And if I have done my work properly, I can confidently and calmly ask my boss or the relationship I am involved in that what is it that is irking the other person. Now, you could also lose your respect and dominance, besides which some clashes are also indicated with government institution. Now, if you actually see, why do I lose my respect in the world? Why do I lose my hold in the world? Why am I feeling suddenly? Because you have to take, am I a control freak? Am I just trying to be arrogant? See, Rahu Mahadasha is making you a control freak. But Saturn is telling you to take a reality check. But if you don't take a reality check, you're bound to argue, you're bound to do mistakes, you're bound to take clashes with people whom you have no control over. And so you're a loser on both the ends. It's not a win-win situation. But when Saturn and Rahu is going in and you feel that you are losing your ground on certain matters, you have to take a reality check and then take your decisions accordingly. Many a times my clients have asked me that I lost my ground or I lost my court cases during the Rahu and Saturn period. My answer to them is go and do introspect and see why did you lose the case. In case if you have lost the case, which I see it in certain cases, then you need to actually knock the doors of the higher authorities. But if you were trying to manipulate somebody, you have lost the case because your grounds were weak. So go and take a reality check. And rather than being arrogant and rather than being a control freak or getting agitated, again when we say please manage your anger, effective management of anger is important. Effective communication is important. Just having communication skills is not important. Effective communications is important. So similarly, during this period, when these obstacles are coming your way, please don't blame the planets. In fact, look into it. I am undergoing a Rahu Mahadasha. What am I supposed to do? I am undergoing a sub-period of Saturn. What am I supposed to do? So when, like previously I had said, during the Jupiter you use your intelligence. During the Saturn sub-period, you take a reality check. And in this period of Rahu Saturn Dasha or Bhukti, like we say, bitterness or distance in relationships may arise, besides which there will be distress and lack of peace to the native due to unfavorable environment around you. And who creates the unfavorable environment? Remember, it's easy to blame the other people. But it takes two to tango, it takes two hands to clap. So something in your behavior is there which is irking the other people, or something is there in the other people's behavior and you have reacted. With the result, the situations are becoming all hodgy-podgy. So it's important at this time you start working on building bridges. That's the reality check that the Saturn wants. You start extending olive branches, or if you feel you can't do with a certain relationship, after taking the reality check, you put a stop to it. It's never wise to keep negative energies around you or with you, but before you break off any ties, professionally or personally, it is important for you to take the reality check and then take action. So it says in the end, this period of Rahu Shani would be fraught with much difficulties when what the native requires to do is pursue persistence. If you're persistent and you're persevering, you will be a success. But if you're not persistent and you're not persevering and you're not taking reality checks, you will get a downfall. And during this period, during the Saturn Rahu, because it wants you to take reality check, what is affected the most? Your heart, your nervous problems. So either which way, if you take a reality check and it comes as a shock to you that, oh my God, I have been doing wrong, you're strong enough, you won't be a nervous wreck and you will save your heart from becoming stressed out. But if you take a reality check and you realize that I have not done anything wrong, yet wrong is being done to me, then you need to be more resilient. So in a nutshell, I would say, when Rahu Saturn, or when Saturn is as an Antardasha sub-period in Rahu, Rahu is giving you illusions, take a reality check of that. Saturn is only asking you to take a reality check and then take your actions. Don't react. Forge and get organized and get your actions in correction with what the situation demands or the relationships demand. While talking about all these major periods and sub-periods, it's very important that not to take a generic view of it. My endeavor is to make you understand that when these Antardashas happen or when these Mahadasas are happening in your life, how should you react and act. But in actual, it's very important to know your natal chart, Because once you know your natal chart, you are actually very face to face, or you are aware of your attitudes, and which actually determines your altitude. It's very important to know what is your subconscious mind, how resilient you are or how not resilient you are. So when you go to a learned astrologer and know about your natal chart, that which is the Mahadasha going on you, which is the Antardasha going on you, and which are the energies in your body that are getting affected. By the virtue of energized stones, you can balance those energies in your body and make that particular period in which you are finding the obstacles, or in which you are finding that these things are putting hurdles and you are unable to overcome them, it becomes easier for you to overcome the obstacles. It's something like when a car breaks down, you know that whether the exhaust has broken down, or whether the gas is not being properly pushed, or the pedal, or whatever the various mechanics. So you can probably get an overall view of this is what has happened to the car. For it to run smoothly, you need to reach a mechanic who will rectify that situation. So similarly in life, when you make your natal chart done, you can actually get a view of your real self and how you can make your life successful, what is the period in which your energies can be high. And I don't wait for periods. It's important to know to start your success from the period you realize it, that this is what is happening, this is how I'm going to sow my seeds, and obviously my future life is going to be smooth, it is going to be happy without any fear or clutter in life. So the success starts now. Be aware of your natal chart. Don't feel that you are falling a prey to illusions. Don't feel that these are some kind of studies that make you weak. They don't make you weak. In fact, the study of your own self makes you a much stronger person and a force to reckon with.